right, well, joining us on the line today is GOP presidential candidate and U.S. Senator from the state of Kentucky, Rand Paul. Senator Paul, thank you so much for taking time out of your undoubtedly very busy schedule to join us here on Follow the Money Radio.
Thank you, Jerry. Glad to be with you.
Senator Paul, your Audit the Fed bill made its way to the Senate floor this week for a vote, but it fell short of the 60 votes that were required. It was an exciting moment for those of us who want to rein in the Fed's unchecked power. But Senate Democrats who mostly voted against the bill said that the Government Accountability Office already audits the Federal Reserve and that your proposal would destroy the Fed's independence. Tell our audience why they're wrong.
Well, it took a long time to get this vote. I worked for 5 years to get this vote. Harry Reid opposed it, and I met with him on several occasions. And in fact, Harry Reid used to be for Audit, and we reminded him of that by putting out to about 2 million viewers on our Facebook showing video clips of him debating Byron Dorgan over auditing the Fed back in the 90s. But we never had much success. We finally got the vote this time. We did get 53 votes in favor, so that is a significant milestone in the sense that we got a majority of people to vote for Audit the Fed, and we got a vote. The other side argues that, they already are audited. Well, it's kind of like saying, they're audited to know how much money they spend on coffee, donuts, and salaries. But they really aren't audited on the main part of what they do and where their money is located. So, for example, a few years ago, Bernanke came before the Congressional Committee, and Alan Grayson asked him, where did the trillions of dollars go that you used during the crisis in 2008? And the auditor had, Bernanke had no answer. The auditors have no answer because the auditors aren't allowed to look at the transactions concerning their assets. Now, we did have a one-time special audit that was stuck in Dodd-Frank, and this was something that my dad pushed for. And through that, we learned that there was $16 trillion worth of loans that occurred during the crisis. Some of this, in fact, maybe as much as $500 billion went to foreign banks and foreign institutions. And there's a lot of questions that go on every year through the Federal Reserve that we have no idea. They say that we know all of the assets, and they'll show you a big book that has all the assets, but they don't individualize it, so you don't know what mortgages are held. You don't know whether they're valued appropriately. And there really is just not much of a look into the Federal Reserve decision-making as far as interest rates go. And so we think the current audit that they say they have is a farce, and we're going to keep pushing the issue.
Well, I understand that Democratic presidential candidate and Senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, crossed the party aisle to stand with you on the vote. But Republican Senator Ted Cruz, who claimed to support your bill, even going so far as to join you as a co-sponsor, was nowhere to be found when the vote was actually cast. It was truly unfortunate that you were not at the debate last night to confront Senator Cruz about why he didn't vote on your Audit the Fed bill. No mention of it during the debate last night, which is, I'm assuming, what the party establishment prefers.
Yeah, it was disappointing that Ted Cruz didn't show up for the vote, and he was the only Republican that didn't show up. And so, there are varying degrees of support for things, and I think one of the indications of whether you truly support something is actually showing up for the debate and for the vote. But we were excited to get the vote, and we're going to continue pushing this. I continue to push the idea that interest rates should be set by the marketplace. I'm a physician, not an economist, but the analogy I like to use is that when you eat a big meal, your blood sugar rises, insulin then rises in response to that, and you get a cyclical nature to the economy. As the economy heats up, interest rates or the price of money, there should be more demand for money, and the price of the money should rise, and that works as a counter-cyclical sort of pressure to tampen the effect of a rising economy, so it doesn't go beyond its limits. It's information, useful information to the economy. But if you don't have that information distributed to the economy, people make bad decisions. And like we saw with a housing bubble, people keep building houses, whereas higher interest rates might have told them that they were overbuilt. And economists have a hard time arguing against it on this, so that they just say, oh, no, Fed knows better, we got to leave the Fed alone. But the problem is I think really a lot of the boom and bust cycle is created by the Fed, if not exacerbated by the Fed.
Senator Paul, I'll close by asking you the same question that I asked your father when he appeared on the show, and that is, why do you think that your message of peace, a humble foreign policy, sound money, and reining in Washington's out-of-control Orwellian police state What is it about that message that fails to resonate with evangelical Christians? What's your take on why those who profess to follow the Prince of Peace instead consistently seek out and prefer GOP candidates who promise war?
I think it is really an irony, and I continue to be baffled by it. But it's not always true. And I have a lot of religious groups that come in to visit me and evangelical groups. But I do remind them that, the Sermon on the Mount and the Beatitudes were blessed are the peacemakers, and wasn't really an advocation or an advocation for war. Jesus didn't say, let's gather some rebels and overturn the government that's collaborating with the Romans. Really, his message was a much different one. So we'll see. It also is not clear that the message is necessarily rejected, because really the message has to get out to a number of people. And right now, all of the messages are being overwhelmed by the media coverage of one celebrity candidate and the nonsense that he spews forth. But not over yet. We're going to see how it goes as it moves forward, and we're going to continue to try to get that message out.
Well, that's very good to hear, because the battle for Fed transparency and more of it is a good fight. My guest today, 2016 GOP presidential candidate and senator from Kentucky, Rand Paul. Thanks for your time, Senator Paul. We'll look forward to having you back on the program soon.
Thanks, Jerry.